Long ago, in the heart of the mighty Persian Empire, ruled a powerful and majestic king, King Xerxes. He was tall and regal, dressed in deep red and gold robes, his jewel-studded crown sparkling under the golden light of his vast palace. He ruled from a throne of gold in a hall filled with pillars, velvet banners, and flickering torches. Among the king's royal officials was Haman, a proud and ambitious man. He wore black and red robes with silver embroidery and always carried himself with smug confidence. The king trusted him, but Haman's heart was filled with pride and jealousy. Far from the throne room, in a quiet corner of the palace, lived Queen Esther. She was known for her beauty, but even more for her courage and kindness. She wore flowing blue robes with gold accents and a delicate crown. Few knew her secret: she was Jewish, and her uncle, Mordecai, had raised her with wisdom and love. One day, Haman tricked the king into signing a terrible law to destroy all the Jewish people in the empire. He hated Mordecai, who refused to bow to him. He hid his hatred with a smile, but his heart plotted evil. When Mordecai heard the news, he tore his clothes and stood outside the palace gates, holding a scroll with trembling hands. His face was lined with sorrow, but his eyes burned with purpose. He sent a message to Esther: "You must speak to the king. You were made queen for such a time as this." Inside her golden chamber, Queen Esther opened the scroll. The candlelight flickered as she read Mordecai's words. Her hands trembled, but then she stood, tall and steady. She knew the law: no one could approach the king without being called. But she also knew she had to try. Esther fasted and prayed. Then, wearing her royal blue and gold gown, she walked slowly down the marble floor of the majestic palace hall. Her heart pounded with every step. Guards stood silent. Light streamed from tall windows. And at the end of the hall, King Xerxes sat upon his throne, watching. He raised his golden scepter and smiled warmly. Esther knelt before him, her eyes filled with tears of joy. "What is your request, my queen?" he asked gently. "Even half the kingdom, and it shall be yours." With grace, she invited the king and Haman to a private banquet. That evening, the royal dining hall glowed with candlelight. Golden dishes, fruits, and goblets filled the table. Queen Esther sat between the king and Haman. She smiled softly but carried a heavy secret in her heart. Haman, thinking himself favored, beamed with pride. At the second banquet, the king asked again, "What is your request, Esther?" She stood, her voice clear and strong. "Spare my people. We are to be destroyed." The king's eyes widened in shock. Who would do such a thing? Esther turned her gaze. "The enemy is Haman." Haman's face turned pale. His pride crumbled as fear gripped him. King Xerxes stood in fury. The man he had trusted was a traitor. Justice was swift. Haman was removed from power, and